Hello, my name is Johnstone. I'm the solicitor in charge of the firm. And this is a short video in relation to pleading guilty and trying to avoid a disqualification from driving. With a motoring case, the majority of offences carry penalty points and or a driving disqualification. Now for minor cases such as speeding or jumping a red light or using a mobile phone, the vast majority of those cases will only attract penalty points. 3, 4, 5, 6 penalty points, as well as a financial penalty. A driving disqualification in those minor cases normally only arises if you become what's known as a totter, if you tot up to 12 penalty points or more. And if you reach 12 points, then it's usually a 6-month disqualification. However, it is possible in that situation to avoid a ban by raising what they call exceptional hardship. By arguing hardship, and that's hardship, exceptional hardship to you, to a family member, perhaps to your employer, to the business, to employees, then the court has a discretion not to impose that disqualification. It is important to get the preparation right, so certainly take legal advice, and if affordable, have a solicitor represent you in court, because it can make a big difference. Many people go to court on their own and say to the court, please don't ban me because I'll lose my job. And the court thinks, well, why should we believe you? They may or may not. But if you go to court fully armed with all the information and the evidence, for example, what type of job you do, the work you do, the need to travel, perhaps there's a letter from your employer, perhaps you've considered alternative travel arrangements, why that's not possible, bus timetables, train timetables, you've got your diary as to where you travel with work. Perhaps we look at more at the effect on your employer if you were to lose your job, as well as the effect on you and the effect on your family. And that would bring in your mortgage payments or your rent payments, utility costs if that was not affordable, if you lost your job. All these can affect the outcome of your case, but it all needs to be prepared beforehand and presented in the right way. So exceptional hardship is one way of avoiding a disqualification. Also, with the majority of motoring cases, special reasons may come into it. And that's another way where even if you accept committing the offence, the court can choose not to give you any penalty. And that's no disqualification, sometimes not even a fine, on the basis that you have a special reason. And a special reason is really where, in the simple way of looking at it, you're not to blame. I see it a lot in no insurance cases, where the police pull somebody over, you're not insured, and my client says, well, I had no knowledge of that. As far as I'm concerned, I'm insured. But it may be a mistake either by the insurance company who cancelled for some reason. It might be a family member's mistake. For example, the father tells the daughter that, yes, you're insured, I've sorted it all out for you. Or a partner tells their partner that, yes, I've sorted all the insurance, you're okay to drive, but something hasn't been done properly. Well, that's somebody else's error. It's somebody else's mistake. It's an innocent mistake. But the court draws a distinction between somebody who willfully goes out and knowingly drives without insurance, or willfully goes out and commits an offence, as opposed to somebody who fully intends to be insured, who doesn't want to commit an offence, but the offence arises through no real fault of their own. In that situation, a special reason might be applied by the court, and the court can therefore choose not to disqualify you or choose not to give you any penalty at all. That also applies with more serious cases. So, for example, a drink driving case, you could avoid a disqualification or a penalty if a special reason arose, and that might be, for example, a short distance driven. So all different types of offences involve possible special reason arguments. So it is quite a complicated and technical argument. There's a lot of previous case law what determines can be argued and how that could affect the outcome of your case. So please take legal advice very carefully, and if possible have a solicitor to represent you, because it can make a big difference in whether you are disqualified or not. Lastly, mitigation. It's always possible in any case, whatever the level of seriousness, to put mitigation to the court. Now, if the disqualification is mandatory, there's probably little that can be done to avoid it. You arguing mitigation and telling the court you're sorry, etc., is not going to stop the court still disqualifying you. But if, for example, it was a choice between disqualifying you for 18 months or 12 months, it may have an effect. It may allow the court to pull back from a more serious disqualification or a more serious penalty and give a less serious penalty. So any type of mitigation can be extremely important. When you combine that with exceptional hardship, if that can apply, or special reasons, whether that can apply, then again, it can have a big impact on the outcome of your case. And of course, that's assuming you're convicted. It is also important to consider whether you have any defences to any allegations made against you. At the start of a case, you may not consider defences. You may think you've got no option but to plead guilty. Again, take some legal advice on that, because a lot of offences, there's technical legal arguments that may result in you not being convicted to start with. And if you're not convicted, or the case is dropped against you, then there's no need to ever bother with mitigation, exceptional hardship or special reasons. So take legal advice. Please give me a call at any time. I'm happy to discuss your own case. Our first telephone call is always free of charge. And if we do act for you, we're normally able to act on a fixed fee basis. So you'll know at the outset what the costs are going to be. But thank you for watching.